consisted solely of, as you described before, a Bible verse posted on social media, comments during a radio debate, and a religious pamphlet published years earlier.
No, I don't think that it is right, because I have not insulted anyone. My speech has been peaceful.
And at no point did you call for violence, coercion, or unlawful conduct?
No. I have told all the time that all people are equal, and we all are sinners, and we all are in need of grace. So I do not insult any minority.
Is it true that prosecutors reportedly compared portions of the Bible to extremist literature when they were going after you?
Yes, the prosecutor filed up charges because of my Twitter update, where the main focus was on the Bible verses.
And is the prosecution reportedly offered you a deal to recant your statements in exchange for avoiding prosecution? Is that accurate?
Already in the police investigation, the police gave me 2 weeks' time to take away my writings, and I said that I will stand up before these teachings.
And my final point is, the trial court unanimously acquitted you, correct?
Pardon?
The trial court unanimously acquitted you, correct?
Yes.
And the acquittal was later affirmed by an appellate court, but despite that, prosecutors appealed again to the Supreme Court in your country, keeping you under legal threat for years, even now. Is that correct? For simply speaking about your faith, putting it in a pamphlet years before, that's what is occurring. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, we thank you for that. I would like to insert into the record, Mr. Chairman, a letter that I signed and sent to MP Rosnan and some others dated May 21st, 2024 on this point.
Objection.
I wrote an op-ed called "The War on Religious Freedom. We Must Stand Up for Finnish Christians Facing Trial for Their Faith," in which we described this, that I jointly authored with Tony Perkins.
Without objection.
I would like to increase also several letters that I could go through one by one, but for the sake of time, I would just like to insert them in group form that are signed by a host of our colleagues that were directed to MP Rosnan about her courage and her faith, letters that we've sent since 2021, 2022, 23, 24, encouraging her and others to stand up, and I'd like to insert those into the record without objection.
Without objection. Doctor, God bless you for your courage
Thank
as well. I think the gentlelady from Washington has a
I do.
UC.
I have a couple of UCs here, Mr. Chairman. The first one is from the New York Times, I believe, about the way in which the Trump administration is smearing and humiliating citizens in order to influence public opinion while sending a warning to other critics to beware of crossing the administration. It's called "They Couldn't Break Me," a protester, the White House, and a doctored photo.
without objection.
Second one is from, it's from CBS News, titled "ICE Agents Wrongfully Detained U.S. Citizen in Minneapolis for Looking Somali."
Without objection.
Next one is from the BBC, "New Jersey Mayor Arrested in Protest at Migrant Center."
Without objection.
And I believe that's it. Thank you.
Is it the gentlelady from Vermont or Ms. Scanlon? Gentlelady from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you. I understand that our Republican colleagues would prefer to distract and divide with a hearing that completely misses the moment. Just days after armed and masked U.S. agents have shot and killed 2 citizens on the streets of an American city. So it's important that we refocus on the threats to civil rights and liberties that are occurring right here, right now, in America. And I want to thank Mr. Mayo for bringing firsthand testimony to Congress about what is happening on the streets of Minneapolis, because the people of Minneapolis have risen to this moment and understand it better than everyone. The White House has unleashed armed and masked federal agents onto our streets to terrorize our communities. And if you think it doesn't affect you, think again. Masked government agents are kidnapping people on the streets of American cities, citizens and non-citizens alike, breaking into their cars and homes, holding them at gunpoint, raiding homes without warrants in violation of the Fourth Amendment, Government agents are surveilling, threatening, and assaulting Americans when they peacefully observe and protest these actions in violation of the First Amendment. They're detaining children and adults with no criminal records in nightmarish conditions in violation of every standard of human decency. And in the last 28 days, Trump's paramilitary goons have violently and lawlessly shot and killed 2 Americans. In the aftermath, the administration tried to smear the dead Americans' actions and characters and convince the world not to believe what we saw with our own eyes. And throughout, our government, not foreign governments, has tried to silence those who expose or criticize those excesses, arresting and threatening elected officials, journalists, and concerned citizens. So why isn't Republican leadership of this committee and Congress hauling the Department of Homeland Security and Kristi Noem before this committee? Why aren't they conducting an investigation into the killing of American citizens and the use of excessive force by ICE and CBP? Why aren't they doing their jobs to demand accountability? Americans are outraged. I don't understand why my Republican colleagues are not. Instead, they're trying to deflect attention and tell us that Europe poses the biggest threat to Americans' rights. It's insulting because it is really clear that right now, the most serious threat to American civil rights and civil liberties is coming from our own government. Now, Mr. Mayo, we've seen ICE agents conducting warrantless arrests, and a particularly egregious example occurred in Minnesota when masked agents broke into a man's home, held him at gunpoint, and dragged him out into the freezing cold in his underwear and a pair of Crocs, only to realize he was an American citizen with no criminal record, and the guy they were actually looking for was already in prison. How would the Fourth Amendment address this situation? Why is it important that we have warrants with respect to searches of people's homes, et cetera?
Thank you. The founders ensured that the Fourth Amendment places significant limits on the government's ability to enter our homes, search our persons, and subject us to arrest. And one of the clearest rules under the Fourth Amendment is that federal agents just can't break into your home and arrest you without a judicial warrant. That judicial warrant is a critical component to ensuring accountability. That is what we are seeing more and more that is missing. We are seeing on the ground the use of administrative warrants, which do not allow someone, an agent, to enter your home and arrest you.
And if a judicial warrant is sought, doesn't the judge require the government to show that they have the right house and the right person, and that there's probable cause to suspect that they're going to find the person they're looking for there?
That's right. That's that layer of accountability that comes into showing that you're not just going into someone's home based on a limited amount of suspicion or in certain cases, in these cases, racial profiling or just thoughts this person might not be here legally.
And would you agree that when folks argue that immigrants don't have constitutional rights, or immigrants don't have the right to demand a warrant before their home is searched, not only is that contrary to the Constitution, but if you take that position, then you can end up with the situation that we had in Minnesota, where a citizen's constitutional rights are being violated because there was no due process, no probable cause, no warrant.
Our constitutional rights and the rights of the Bill of Rights apply to us all.
And explicitly, the Fourth Amendment says all persons. It doesn't say citizens, does it?
That's correct.
Okay. Are you familiar with the opinion by the Texas judge in the case involving the boy in the blue bunny hat? Didn't the judge there say that using an administrative warrant is like the fox guarding the hen house?
Okay, you can answer that real quick, Mr.
We are really concerned, very concerned about the erosion of the Fourth Amendment, and I know that that's something that's dear to many people on this committee, and the use of an administrative warrant is a significant erosion if it's being used to go into homes to arrest
The
people.
gentlelady has
Thank you. I have a UC.
Okay, go ahead.
I seek unanimous consent to introduce Guardian, British newspaper. article, 8 people have died in dealings with ICE so far in 2026. These are their stories. It's dated January 28th.
Without objection. Gentleman from Arizona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Manuel, isn't it true that there are constraints on the use of First Amendment speech rights?
Yeah, I mean, so yes, the
Yeah,
First, the First Amendment.
There's constraints on it, right? And it's permissible for individuals to protest in America, right?
There are rights to
Right.
protest in the United States.
And
of America.
people can
And the
even,
rights to-
courts have found, I mean, these are yes or no, you don't need to.
Sure.
If you filibuster, which sometimes people like to do, we'll never get through this. But I'm going to make sure we get through it, no matter how much over time I go, just like the Democrats are. People can even video police actions in public spaces, right? Courts have held that.
Yes.
Multiple courts, right?
Yes.
But there is a caveat to that right, isn't there? There's a list of constraints even there, right? So for instance, you cannot videotape